Hey folks, Todd Chisholm with PatioShoppers.com, and today I have a very special guest, Mr. Pete Arnold from AEI. Pete has been in this industry his entire life, as well as his father actually invented the very first gas barbecue grill.
Correct.
They were also in 1967 or 69,
67.
was really the first company out there to ever be involved in marketing the very first patio heater. So when you hear what we're talking about today with this heater, you're getting it from the ultimate expert in the industry.
Thank you very much.
Pete, thanks for joining us today. Pete, we're going to look at right now your Patio Comfort vintage patio heater. This is a propane patio heater. This is by far one of my favorite patio heaters on the market. You guys put such an awesome unit together. What did you do with this thing? Why is it doing so well?
Well, thanks, Todd. We designed a unit that from the beginning we wanted to have the best materials available so it truly could stand up to commercial use. One of the things that we did is use cast aluminum housing for this heater. Many heaters are made out of sheet metal that are powder coated. The problem with that is that given time they deteriorate. Aluminum is truly the forever material. It's not subject to rust, it's not subject to denting, it's not subject to the normal deterioration that a patio heater in a traditional setting would be subject to.
And that's absolute truth. You know, you can walk up to any other patio heater in the market. I wish our viewers out there could actually walk up and feel the sturdiness of this heater, because you go with one of the cheaper $150 heaters out there, you just shake it and it's unreal. This unit here, you can feel the weight. This thing is probably the heaviest heater that I've found on the market, is it not?
Well, Todd, it is. Almost every other heater in the industry needs to put weight in their base to be able to meet minimum standards. We don't need any weight because, again, it is all cast aluminum, which is a heavy, long-lasting material.
You know, this thing actually, instead of you having to bring your other heaters in, Pete, this unit actually sat in my backyard for about a year and a half, then sat in our warehouse for about another year, and you're still looking at the shape that it's in today. And that's one thing, when you put this thing together, it's just, this is a true commercial and residential heater, but it's made to stand the test of time. So Pete, why don't you tell us a little bit of a few of the things that differentiates this heater and the materials of it from others besides the cast aluminum. What about the parts and components inside of this unit?
Well, that's a great question, Todd. So on top of cast aluminum that we've actually embedded color in so it doesn't scrape off, we use the finest materials for the burner and for the emitter grid, and these are really key components to any heater because that's what gives you the flame that gives you the heat. You can have a wonderful looking heater, but unless you have the heart and guts that are long lasting and heavy duty materials, you really have nothing. On top of that, Todd, we put a one-piece reflector. And I think that many of your customers have probably seen a number of heaters in the marketplace that use three-part reflectors. And the problem with the three-part reflector is that it often will be going from a reflector to a sombrero, where you no longer get heat reflected down. And it is this dome that is actually creating the circle of heat. In a high-quality patio heater like our vintage heater, you will have flame coming up about 2/3 of the way on this emitter grid, creating infrared rays that are then reflected down. Some of the less expensive heaters have very small heat zones, and again, they have that three-piece reflector that just simply doesn't reflect a thing.
So we see that all the time when you walk into a restaurant and you see the top of the dome, the reflector shield, it's all bent and burnt, and you just know that's not a quality heater.
Well, that's 430 stainless steel, which is the finest quality for stainless steel that you're going to apply heat to. And we use that same grade of stainless steel in our burner. Now, one thing that also sets us apart from anything else in the industry, as you mentioned so nicely, we've been around since 1966, and many of the heaters that are available today, they're here today and gone tomorrow. With our heaters, we've had parts continuously since 1967, and if next year somebody takes your knob, or if the kids take the reflector off and use it as a snow toy,
Yep.
you certainly can get any of the replacement parts from AEI Corporation through Patio Shoppers.
Absolutely. We do that all the time. Matter of fact, the cool thing is that whenever somebody needs to troubleshoot a heater, they have an issue, if we can't walk you through the troubleshooting process, you guys have always been right there to support us, get any kind of parts, anything. One of the other things that I really like about this heater versus others is when you get them in a box, there's just a ton of bolts and screws and things, and it takes you a while to put it together. This thing, Pete, if I remember when we put this thing together originally, it only took us about 10 or 15 minutes because it was already pretty much assembled. We just kind of had to put this and I think the reflector shield and a couple of screws. How do you put this thing together?
Very, very simple. This is one full assembly, Todd, that is held on by 4 bolts that hold this bracket. This post just screws right on,
Yep.
and then you've got 4 screws that attach this, and all you do is put the reflector on top, hook up propane to it, you're heating immediately.
It didn't take long at all. 15 minutes, you've got your heater and you're rolling. So one of the features I really like about this unit, Pete, is on most heaters out there, you actually have a housing unit right here that you have to actually lift up. It's kind of a burden to hold up. Sometimes it only almost takes 2 people to change the propane tank out. With this one, you have a really secure latch here. You open the unit up, put your propane tank in, and hook your regulator up, and you're good to go. Now, I noticed a couple of things on this with Pete is that it's got your chain here.
Absolutely.
Okay. And what's the chain for?
Well, the chain is just to make sure that if the unit happens to tip over, you're not going to lose your tank.
Okay, so it's actually
a safety
security.
feature.
Safety feature for it. Also, I noticed when you close this up, it has a safety lock feature where you can put a lock right here on your latch.
Well, and to most restaurants, that's an incredibly important feature because they can simply lock their propane cylinder in the heater and leave it overnight.
It's actually a great feature. Okay, so Pete, let's actually show how easy it is to light one of these things.
Boy, Todd, it's really easy. You just want to make sure your gas is on your tank. You simply depress the knob to the pilot position. You let it bleed for 30 seconds to get the gas up to the heater head. You push the pilot button.
I can see the pilot up there now.
And in about 15 seconds, a safety system called a thermocouple will heat up, which will allow you then to turn your heater on to high heat.
There we go. Wow, I can feel that heat already. And it hasn't even taken long. The emitter grid's not even hot, but I can feel the heat.
It's immediate, and it'll take about 3 minutes for that emitter grid to glow cherry red, and that's when you're producing those beautiful infrared rays that heat you like the sun.
Absolutely.
Doing about a 12 to a 15-foot circle of heat.
So this will actually heat about a 12 to 15-foot circle of warmth here. So if we wanted more warmth, we could actually put them apart about 15 feet apart. How far would we put them apart?
I'd usually put them about 20 feet apart. That way you're getting 10 feet of coverage right in the middle.
That's perfect. Well, I love it. This is a great heater. Again, this is the Patio Comfort Vintage Series propane patio heater right here at patioshoppers.com. If you get your order in by around noon, your item's going to ship out the same day. Pete, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Todd.
We'll talk to you later. Folks, have a great day.